Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael, here without Molly this week. She is off traveling the world for the next couple weeks here, but I could not be more excited in her place to welcome our friend from the Reality Realness podcast to talk some Survivor 50 with me. It's Chantele Francis. Chantele, how are you?
Yay, I'm excited to talk some Survivor, even though I'm not the happiest about the outcome of this episode. But I am happy to talk about it with you because we haven't talked about the season, I don't think, at all.
No,
Right?
we have not. I think last time you were here was during 49, so a lot to catch up on. But what have your thoughts just overall on the season? We are nearing the end, somehow, some way. Next week's the finale already. So, what have your thoughts been so far on the season?
Well, it's kind of hard to be a little bit results oriented from this episode. Like up until this point, I would say that it was kind of like up and down with how the season was going. I definitely love seeing some of these returning players come back, but I also was like, oh, I want to see more like old school players because I'm like, I just saw that some of these players compete like a couple years ago or last year or last season, and so I wasn't necessarily the most pleased with the casting, but then I was kind of getting used to it as the season started. I was like enjoying the dynamic and I was enjoying the season. Um it's called In the Hand of the Fans, and I feel like it's just an excuse to blame us for any twist that production doesn't like. And so I feel like we are taking like a bullet for production here, because I feel like all the things that we voted for, we didn't really vote for. It just feels that
No.
way. So obviously I don't love a lot of the twists. Yes, the Mr. Beast episode was exciting, but like if it hadn't ended that way, like would it have been that great? I don't think so. And all the other twists, like none of them have been that great. I think the most successful was the duo twist. Maybe that was the most successful, and I don't mind seeing that if that came back again. But everything else, off the top of my head, like you know, it wasn't for me. I like old plain Survivor. Like I like What Idol maybe, and just like a numbers game, and just I want to go back to the basics. So I've been enjoying the season probably because of the cast. It's a returning cast. I don't think it would land as well with me if it was all like new players. I think that we're able to enjoy it, or at least I am, because I'm familiar with everybody's game already. And so it just allows me to see what these players are doing in these circumstances, not like getting to know people and then being like, oh man, like you really got that twist really screwed you. Like it doesn't really matter that much with a new cast. So yeah, I'm kind of up and down on the season.
Yeah, it is interesting because I feel like it's almost similar to what they did with 40, where like they added like the fire tokens, they added the edge of extinction they had on it. It is like just throwing everything at an all-star season where I kind of wish what they had done because it did kind of feel like, in 41 they added all these new elements. And then as the new era progressed, they took away a lot of them and they kept what worked and didn't and in 49 it felt like we finally fixed the journeys and it was like I felt like we had finally gotten to a good format with the new era. And then I wish that we could have just seen these all stars now because it would have been so interesting to see, okay, how does Colby Donaldson do in the new era that we're used to with this new era? And how does he, all these older players stack up with this new game that we have? Whereas now it's like, okay, yeah, it's kind of new era ish, but it's also so many other random things that we've never seen before. And I would have rather them, like you said, experiment with a new cast and then figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then get the game good for the all star cast.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have these players that are really, really good at the game that can't like obviously you need to have a little bit of luck to play any of these games, and it just seems like a lot of luck, bad luck happened to some really good players. Just like off the top of my head, like Genevieve is somebody
Uh,
that is a good player, but she really 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 was unlucky, like and she couldn't do anything about her lack of luck. Like she found idols, couldn't use them. Like she gets swap screwed, no votes, no idols. The people that had an idol were both on Edge of Extinction or whatever, Exile
yeah,
Island. So
yeah,
it's like she just had really, really bad luck. And it just sucks when a good player just gets a bad hand.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, she was probably, I would wager it, about one of the unluckiest castaways in Survivor history this
Like
season.
ever.
Ever. Ever.
It would have been kind of cool
Crazy.
though with if like she was brought back from being voted out when Ozzy did go home with the idol. Like she accurately predicted
Yeah.
that he would go home with an idol in his pocket, and like Rizzo could possibly go home with an idol in his pocket. Like I don't think so, but like it is a possibility. So like it
Yeah.
would be cool if she at least maybe was like resurrected. That would be a twist,
Yeah, does
right?
she just get it like shipped to her house now? Like what does she at least get as a souvenir? She should at least be able to auction it off on eBay for a couple $1,000s or something. At least get something from it.
Something.
Yeah.
She got nothing.
Soften the blow a little bit. But all right, well, let's get into this last episode. It was a double tribal, and thankfully, results aside, at least it was two normal tribals, and we didn't get another split tribal. I was really worried about that when they said there's 5 going into finale. I was like, well, we got to get there somehow. And from what precedent has said, that it would be some sort of split tribal, but thankfully it was just 2 back to back, and I was very happy about that.
Yes, I'm also happy when it's just a normal vote. And like because like last episode, yeah, it was two 5 votes, whatever. And we had Jonathan going back and forth, but he had so much power there. And I'm like, man, like you stood on a little teepee for a second longer than somebody else, and you get all this power. You get to basically take a shot at 2 people from the game. And
It
so,
was a lot.
yeah, I was happy that it was just like a basic, a regular tribal.
Yeah, I think Jonathan, that whole thing would have been a lot better at 8, or sorry, at I guess it would have been 10 than 8, because at least his vote, like, yes, it could tie, but it wouldn't be like the swing vote. Like, at least his would have been a little bit less powerful, and I would have preferred it. But anyways, that's last week.
So powerful. Um, and one thing too, like I guess, like it was happening. It's just because I'm very upset about this episode.
No, that's what we're here for. Just get all your venting.
But it was kind of like now we have so many new school people in the end of the game that are up for this $2 million, and no offense, they're all there because everybody thinks they can beat them, and so
Hmm.
it's just very frustrating that all these people I consider to be excellent Survivor players are taken out of the game because they're good Survivor players, and the people that are left in the game are going to win the money because they're not as threatening, and so I'm always frustrated with that, and it's just like that's the direction that it's going to likely go in. I do think who I perceive the winner to be, still a good winner, I would say, but it very easily could be a new school player who I didn't think did a $2 million job.
It's a little BB22-ish in a way. Not
Oh,
not to that extreme. That's like the
woof.
most extreme example. But it's good. There's some reminiscent factors there.
Oh, I wasn't happy about that season
No, I don't think anyone
at
was.
all.
The other day, I was watching Puya was saying that he was having sleeping issues, and I was like, "Well, just watch BB22. That'll put you right to sleep."
And he's probably like, no, I can't. I don't want nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'll give you nightmares. All right, well, let's get into this episode then. So, after last week's split tribals, the two groups both come back together, and Rizzo and Suri talk. And I was very much looking forward to this conversation because I thought that Suri was going to be pissed at Rizzo. I thought she was going to have it out for him for being willing to get out Ozzy and not warning him, but she seems to be totally fine with it. She says she's mad at Ozzy for what he did, and
I mean,
that's the
wouldn't you be?
correct thing, right? But I really thought that she wasn't going to believe Rizzo. I thought she was going to think that Rizzo had come up with this excuse for why he did what he did, and that he was exaggerating what Ozzy did. But it seemed like she believed him. Did that surprise you at all?
I I had a feeling that she regardless would go along with it, because if she's hearing this, that he's like talking about their final 2 and all this stuff, like, and if she's up in arms about it, it kind of makes it even more true, I would say, and like that could blow up her spot even further. And so I thought that no matter what, she was going to kind of wasn't going to react too strongly to
Mhm.
it. So I did think that it might tip her off that that Rizzo might not be as close with them as possible because he allowed this to happen. But the amount that she was mad at Ozzy was a little bit surprising. Like I mean, I thought it was an asinine move, absolutely. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe he just tanked his game like that. I just didn't think that she'd have all those confessionals where she's just like, I didn't know I was hitching my wagon to an idiot. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
I don't know that I've seen Saru that mad since like maybe at some point at Jared on BB 22, BB
Oh,
25 or
I mean,
something.
it's a
Like,
child, yes.
where he's just like undoing all of the work she just did throughout the whole day, and then she has to go back and clean it up. And but yeah, she was pissed at Ozzy. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think what I expected was that she wouldn't react in the moment. Like she would make Rizzo think that she was totally fine with it. But I thought when she went into confessional, she was going to be saying like, I can't trust him now. He could do the same thing to me. And then maybe she would not warn Rizzo about the others trying to blindside him and get his idol out or something like that. I thought maybe that's how the story would end, that Rizzo was going to go home today and that she was going to be willing to let him go because she felt like she couldn't fully trust him after what he did to Ozzy.
Yeah, but I think that she was also worried about being left alone without having
Yeah.
any allies. And so yes, I think it would have tipped me off if like, hey, like I know he was being a bonehead, but he was like, he's our bonehead. Like him being in the game is better than him not being in the game for us. Like he's protection to a certain extent. And shield, like Serene needs shields in this game. And so it would have been helpful if he had stayed. And so I do wish that Rizzo did not do that. I wish that he tipped him off. I was hoping that he was. I'm like, just tell him, so Ozzy can right his wrong. You
Yeah.
know, he can stop having dreams about it. But yeah, that didn't happen. So I think it actually was the beginning of the end of Cere's game. Was
Yeah,
actually Ozzy going home
I
and her
agree.
not being tipped off that Rizzo could be a little bit duplicitous, we'll say.
Hmm. Yeah, so Jonathan thinks that the Aussie vote was his move, and he thinks that this is something that is being added to his resume. But Aubrey says that she was really the one who initially started the domino effect and told Joe, Rizzo, and Jonathan that what Aussie told her and that they have a shot now to take him out. So who do you think between Jonathan and Aubrey should get the credit for this move?
Aubrey.
Yeah.
100% Aubrey, because like if she didn't put in any work, she would have been an easy target to get out there. Yes, Jonathan had like this idea, and so it was easy for her to kind of like jump onto that idea, and then she started then Ozzy started talking and then she started sharing all that. But I think that her sharing that information from Ozzy helped give her some credibility and allowed for everybody to easily take out Ozzy instead of, because like those are like guys, look how hard it was to turn Joe. And I think that if Aubrey wasn't doing all that work, I don't know if Jonathan would have made it happen.
Hmm. And this, to me, like this moment is where I think Aubrey is going to win this season because the way that they showed this was they said, showed Jonathan like taking credit for this and then immediately cut to Aubrey to basically be like, maybe not. That was actually my move. And to me, it felt like they wanted us to believe that it was Aubrey. And that's I think like, okay, this is how they're presenting this. I intentionally showing us that if Jonathan and Aubrey both end up in final three, Aubrey's going to be the one to get credit for something like this and not Jonathan.
Well, and also this whole season, you've heard sound bites of Aubrey being like, and tonight I'm going to make my mark, and I'm just going to grab this game by the horns. And like, there's all these like analogies that she's saying about like how she's going to take the game in her hands. And so I feel like this is kind of like snowballing and piggybacking on this idea that she's ready to take the game into her own hands. And I think that this is showing her do it. So yes, it looks like a winner trajectory to me as well.
Yeah. Well, then we get to the reward slash immunity challenge, where Joe wins this, and he decides to take Suri and Rizzo on the barbecue reward with him. And these choices end up kind of, especially the choice of Rizzo, kind of ends up coming back at Tribal, where they're like, Joe did it because, oh, Rizzo hasn't eaten and he's, getting so skinny and whatever. But like, then everyone's like, well, at the auction, you had all this food and you didn't, you left all this chicken with you. What did you think? Like, was that actually the reason why Joe took him, though? Probably not. Like, it seemed like he said it was more gameplay than that.
Yeah, he said it was gameplay. I don't know how much gameplay Joe really has in him, but he said it was strategic. Now I did hear, I don't remember whose exit, maybe it was Chrissy's exit press, or somebody was talking about the fact that Rizzo was actually really sick at the auction, and so that's why he wasn't really eating, because he wasn't feeling well. But no matter what, it was a bad excuse on Joe's part. Like, just don't say anything. Just be like, I'm gonna take Suri and Rizzo.
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, he hasn't eaten, when everybody knows that, like, Suri got her charcuterie board. She got, like, and he got, the cookies and chicken and milk, apparently. Yeah.
No,
It just made him
exactly.
look
It's
kind
like,
of dumb.
because to me, it's like, okay, if you're going to lie to me about something like silly like that, like, then it makes me think, why are you lying to me? And it's just better, like, just don't say anything at all. And
Yeah.
just, like, don't give me a reason to, like, think that you're hiding something. And you took them because you have some secret deal with them, that you want to talk about a plan of what you're going to do at Tribal tonight or whatever. And it's just like, if you didn't say anything at all, then I probably wouldn't be overthinking it like that.
Exactly. But it also kind of reinforces that he's not great at the game, and he's not, well, not a great liar. So I mean, I guess there's that. It does show people that, like, his lying is not great.
No.
But yeah, he shouldn't have said anything, I don't think.
Yeah, Joe is Joe. He's not going to be a good liar and manipulator. He doesn't want anyone to be doing that, let alone himself.
Right? Nobody. So. What do you think about him being like, how Rick Devens plays the game is disgusting?
Craziness. I mean, it's like, what show do you think you signed up for? Twice. Like, I almost understand it maybe the first time you play, where you're kind of like, maybe Joe's not the biggest fan of the show. Maybe he's only seen a few seasons during COVID or something. I can't remember what his story is of his Survivor fandom, but like, once you've played it once and you know what this is, you know what you're getting into, and he's not, he wasn't on Survivor 49. He did get to watch his whole season back and be in the community for that year and see all the reaction to it, and then to just come back and play the exact same game and have the exact same morals and integrity and everything. It is a little wild to me.
It's definitely wild. And does he think that, like, Survivor production is disgusting as well, with all the tricks and the switch ups and all the different advantages, disadvantages, and swaps? Like, it's disgusting. Like, you're not playing a clean game.
Like, blame Mr. Beast if you're going to blame anyone for the coin flip scenario. What was Devin supposed to do? You were going to send him home.
Right? It's like if he uses shot in the dark and it lands, he'd be like, disgusting. It's like,
it's kind of like, I feel like I keep making Big Brother analogies today, but it's kind of similar to how, like, when somebody goes on the block and they have like this virus all of a sudden, and everything they do is like the most horrible thing in the world, because you're trying to rationalize to yourself why it's okay that you're sending them home. And so then you just start to think like, oh my God, they brushed their teeth this morning. How disgusting is that? Like, these normal things. And I feel like he's almost like kind of rationalizing to himself, like, why he is mad at Devins or something. And so everything he does annoys him.
Yeah. Everything is building a case as to why he needs to be gone next.
Yeah. Exactly.
Absolutely. Like, that's actually a really, really smart comparison. And I think it's also because Joe doesn't really know how to play the game. And so like he only knows how to play the game one way, kind of like you mentioned. And like, if anybody plays differently from that, like it sends him awry. And so like, he can't handle playing with that. And so like, he's playing the right way, then what Devin's doing must be the disgusting way. Cause like,
exactly. Because it's the opposite. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, then at reward, Rizzo asks Suri and Joe if he should use his idol tonight, and they assure him that the vote's going to be Devin's. We're sticking to the plan, but Rizzo does not want to get blindsided with an idol in his pocket, just like Ozzy did. Do you think if you were in Rizzo's position, is now the time that he should have used his idol?
He has like a gut of steel because I would have used my idol probably in like the Aussie tribal because I just been like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, I mean, he did know what was happening, but I just don't know in those small groups if I could trust what everybody's saying, like for
Hmm.
100%. So I would have used my idol already. I don't think I would have it at
Yeah.
this point. And I would definitely have used it here. But also though, if I was playing with somebody that like was known to hold on to his idol, like because apparently they talked about it, how he did this
Yeah.
on 49, and he's done it now for a couple of like more than a couple. He's had this idol since the pre-merge thing, whatever. Um, I would have already put votes on him and try to get him out, actually get him out. Just be like, well, you know what? I'm not going to allow you to do that again. Let's put the votes on Rizzo, and if he plays his idol, he will stay in the game, and if he doesn't, well, too bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. He only knows how to use that idol at the last tribal he can possibly use it, apparently. And does he have the record now for most tribals survived with an idol in his pocket without having to use it? He must, right?
He must. I haven't. Nobody ever would do that. And they didn't play like back to backs like or multiple seasons that also
Yeah,
still had that strategy. Now, is it working because nobody thinks of him as a actual threat?
I think so. I think it's like, why bother? Like, he's not going to win the respect of the jury. He's this little kid. I think that they find him to be like the annoying little brother and they love him, but he's just not like going to be able to have the respect of the jury. Because I feel like it's Rizzo and Devins to me kind of have a similar situation where I think they they have these flashy games in a way like and Rizzo hasn't so much this season I guess as much as he did on 49 I feel like but I feel like the jury doesn't love the whole like or they think the jury isn't going to love the whole like the theatrics of it all and
Especially the honor integrity crew. I'm sure they're probably like,
right.
oh,
So I think they just think like he's an easy final three vote. And I don't know that he would be actually. I actually think that Rizzo could have a great story if he does get to final three. And I think he would do a really good job of explaining that story. But I don't think that they think that he does.
well, and even if he explains it, I mean, like it's kind of like we're like we let you play the game, like you weren't
Right.
running it as much as you were. We were allowing you to still be here. And even though he thinks that I mean, he did do some stuff this episode for sure. I just don't know if he'll get the respect unless he's sitting beside Joe and maybe what's his name, Jonathan.
Jonathan,
But
yeah.
sitting beside
Yeah,
anybody
there's
else, I don't think
scenarios.
he'll
I think
win.
there's people who he beats. I think there's people who he loses to. So I don't think it's certainly like not a guarantee that if he makes final three, he's going to win this. But I think there's certainly people who, if he were to make final three with them, and I think that maybe is only Joe and Jonathan, unfortunately for Rizzo. I think that's maybe his only combination of final three that he wins. But I
Right.
do think he at least has a winning trajectory to get there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
possible.
slim, but there's a
Fair.
chance. You're saying there's a chance. But then we get to tribal. Oh no, sorry. We first before we get to tribal, we go back to camp, and Tiff wants to blindside Rizzo, and she pitches this to Devins and Joe, who are both on board. But Sari doesn't want a second ally of hers to go home, of course, since she just lost Ozzy. We talked a little bit about this, but like from Cerise's perspective, if everyone else is kind of coming to you with this plan, is this important enough to Cerise, or should it be important enough to where she pushes back here, or does that kind of show too many of her cards if she pushes back too much that she's most loyal to Rizzo?
I think she should have maybe let Rizzo go. Well, now results oriented, of course.
Yeah, of
But
course.
I think that she
Hindsight's
might have
2020.
because like she needs to have shields in the game, right? That's why she hasn't been taken out yet because there's been bigger fish to fry. And so if Devins is still in the game, Devins still someone that they can target later. It would be really great to get out Rizzo and that idol and seeing what he ends up doing after the next tribal. Like he wasn't loyal enough to her, even though she protected him so many times. And so I think that it might have been the time to let him go and keep your shields in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I think it's hard because now, of course, and again, we know what happened, so it's like it's hard to think like, okay, what could she? How far back can we trace this to where she could have done something differently to not make her go out at the
Yeah,
next tribal here? And yeah, this could definitely be one of those. But I can completely understand her logic for not wanting that to happen
absolutely.
because I think in her mind, she's like, nobody wants to sit at final three next to me. Like, who are the most likely that I can convince to do that? And I think
Yeah.
Rizzo was at towards the top, if not the top of that list.
Yeah, I just I when I was watching the actual episode and in the moment, I was thinking that she might let Rizzo go here.
Hmm.
I just didn't
I thought
thought
so
that she's
too.
like, yeah, I don't think I can. I think we should do it. I think we should, because Tiffany wanted to happen. Like, allow Tiffany to have this. You know what I mean?
Tiffany's
So
the one starting this, from what
exactly.
we saw. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, you would think that Tiff is the only other person who I think might be at the top of who Suri would trust to let her go to the end with them. And yeah, I think if Tiff's really like, adamant about this, if I'm Suri, I might think like, okay, if she sees that I'm willing to do this for her, then
Hmm.
it'll only make her trust me more to continue on for the next couple rounds here.
Yeah, I would have let him go because of that. I well, he has an idol, right? Like,
Yeah.
he should play it, like, and then he'd be in the game still.
Right, that's what she should have done is figure out a way to get him to flush the idol, and then she can maybe find an idol for the first time in Survivor history.
Do you think that they hid one back?
I think if one was used, I think so. Do you think? But would it be a Billie Eilish idol or would it be a normal idol? I don't even know.
Who knows? Billie Eilish
Because
was a
like
dud.
Rizzo, oh, I guess maybe it wouldn't be because it would go back. Technically, it would have gone back to
Laguna Beach.
Genevieve, and it.
Oh, right.
So then, since Genevieve's not there, would it be rehidden, or was the idea if the person's not there, then it just is gone?
Well, but also though, Devin's just played an idol, right? So is that one rehidden?
True.
The Mr. Beast idol, but it was attained in a
He was looking for it.
non-idol
You would
way.
think like he thought that it was rehidden. He just couldn't find it, but I don't know if it really was or not.
That's what I'm saying. It's not clear. Not
Yeah,
clear.
yeah. Well, then we get to tribal, and it seems relatively clear what's going to happen here. They try to make us think like, okay, maybe it's going to be Rizzo, but Devins gets to this emotional speech here, and to me, when we really saw this emotional, it would have been very weird, I think, to have seen this whole thing and then
And
for
Rizzo
Devin
goes
to
home.
stay. Yeah. So I thought when we got to this point, I was like, okay, it's probably Devins, but it was a very touching speech that he gave. I thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about these old school players is that they have like a life that with Survivor, like there was before Survivor and then after Survivor. And so like they just have so much of their personality and like their life experience and their memories that's attached to this game. And so it is really nice to see how much Survivor has mean to these great players, especially Devon's, Suri, just because like their identity is kind of synonymous with Survivor. And to have their game ending, it's pretty, it's heartfelt. And I understood where he was coming from, for
Yeah.
sure.
Devins is someone to me, like, there's very few people on this season that I think will 100% get asked back again. This is not the end of Devin's Survivor journey. I really don't think so.
I didn't love him in his first season. Like he was just kind of annoying to me, but I really did like him and appreciated him this season.
I agree.
Um I love that he has such a good time playing Survivor, and it's kind of hard to do out there, with like the elements and like, hunger and all that stuff. Other castaways obviously. And so it's just like nice to see him really treat it as a game,
Yeah.
like, and it's fun.
No, 100%. He was very, very fun to watch. And I love somebody who's just willing to go for it, willing to do the more interesting thing and like figure out a way to maneuver and think outside the box. And that is Devon's to a T, especially this season. And yeah, I would be so down for him to come back another time, I think. And I would be excited to see him on a cast list.
And that's probably why he was the first guest on the On Fire podcast, right?
Hmm.
It's because like he's just such a lover of the game, and he's just
Well, and
positive about
not
it.
only that, but he was supposed to, in the original plan for 41, he was supposed to be the fire tokens, like, he was going to be kind of like Wells Adams behind the bar on Bachelor in Paradise and be like the fire tokens vendor or something. And like,
Okay,
Jeff had this whole concept for it. And then Mike White said, but is it fun? And then he, totally
let's
redid the
scrap
concept for 41. Yeah.
that. I mean, that is a good measuring tool. Is it fun? It's kind of like Marie Kondo with her like,
Yeah.
does it bring
It
you
does spark
joy?
joy. Yeah. But then, yeah, Devons is voted out unanimously here, sadly. And then we get to the next morning where Tiff is upset because Rizzo's still here. Her plan did not work, and he still has his idol, most of all. And so she is going to make it her mission to blindside him tonight. But she's talking to Aubrey about this. And Aubrey actually, this conversation starts to make her worry about Tiff because she views Tiff as kind of her Michelle Fitzgerald from a 32. And Michelle famously beat her on Survivor 32. Do you see that comparison that Aubrey was making?
Well, no, it could be because she's Tiffany for the most part has been under edited, so
Yeah.
I know that she had made a connection with Aubrey when Tiffany told her that Genevieve was kind of saying her name a
Yeah.
while ago, and so I knew that they had a friendship, and so maybe within them having that friendship, maybe she got to see a little bit more of Tiffany than we've been shown, but. No, I don't see the correlation between them at all.
Yeah, I agree. I don't either. I can see, I guess, where she would get paranoid that maybe Tiff would get more respect from the jury than like she thinks she would. Like, I feel like there's maybe this like thing of like that she doesn't view Tiff as a huge threat at Final Three to win, but the fact that she doesn't think that is almost like making her paranoid that she's making the same mistake she did back on 32. And it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy where if it's like you have the same thoughts about somebody that you did before and you were wrong then, so now it's making you paranoid that you're going to be wrong again here.
And also, though, maybe she's getting these sound bites too, is because she does right her wrong with Michelle. Like,
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of this has been her talking about like what she did wrong and wanting to change her game and doing things differently and realizing that she can still win the game by making her big moves near the end. And so maybe that's why they clip this in here now, her talking about Tiffany, because likely she'll get Tiffany out before the final three, and so like we can see her entire story is to right her wrong of her original season, so it could just be kind of compounding to that.
I could totally see that. It's all part of the story that we're going to be told for Aubrey's eventual coronation next week. But maybe we're totally wrong. Who knows?
I don't know if we are.
I don't think so. But yeah. So Tiff ends up being kind of the target here because Aubrey goes to Joe and Rizzo and they agree with this plan. And then Rizzo informs Suri of it. And Suri, she wasn't supposed to tell Suri because everyone knows how close Tiff and Suri are. So Suri was supposed to be left out of this plan. But because Rizzo, of course, has this Wizard of Oz alliance with Suri, he does inform her of it. Pin this, it comes back later.
Mhm.
So then we get to the immunity challenge where Tiff wins. And she is now spoiling the plan to get her out, of course. So now it's back to the drawing board. When Tiff won this, I had a sinking feeling.
Absolutely.
It was like, oh no. At first I was so happy. I was like, oh yes, love Tiff. So happy that she's safe. And she was the target. And then I started to think, who's next?
Yeah, there's not that many options once Tiff is out of the equation. And not that I want Tiff to go home, but I would rather Tiff go home than obviously Suri. And that's what frustrated me about the immunity challenge, because I'm like, this is likely not one that Suri can win. Now, I
Yeah.
know that she hasn't been great at most challenges, but like I just wish that that she had a fighting chance at least been able to save herself. Like she's always had to use just herself. Like this is the first time that she had an extra vote. First time she had an advantage in her hands, and she played it. She's the first person to play it effectively, you know.
Mhm.
And so like it'd be nice if she just got this immunity and like maybe felt what that was like to be able to like save yourself from this situation, and then they would be able to get out probably Aubrey or you know, a bigger target. So
Yeah,
yeah,
this is where I wish the Survivor challenges were a little bit more
predictable.
varied.
Hmm.
Like we just get kind of the same versions, facsimiles of the same thing season
Yeah.
after season these days. And I wish there was something that more lent itself to Suri's strengths or someone like Suri, where, you know, you just kind of always assume Suri's not going to win an immunity challenge. And that shouldn't
Hmm.
ever be an assumption about anyone on Survivor. Like that
Hmm.
should, everyone should always have their challenge that, you know, maybe they won't get that far to get to it, but you could have been able to say, oh, Suri would have been good at that one. And if Suri was out week one, I don't think I would have ever said this season, oh, I wish I could have seen Suri play this because maybe she could have won this one.
Yeah, there was not one that was maybe a possibility. She was never in the running for
Yeah.
any immunity
But it
challenges,
makes it
which
more impressive that she's able to play the way that she plays and get this far
I
while
know.
never ever having a chance to win immunity, really. And it's only more impressive to watch her social game, knowing that she's not going to ever likely be immune at a tribal.
And that could be also though a reason why it allows them to take her to closer to the end, just because
Sure.
like they know that they could likely beat her and get her out if they need to at any stage. So that could be helpful for her game, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
but I just wish that she got to experience saving herself in that way, with an immunity necklace. Yeah, since like I don't think she's gonna come back out again, so it would have been nice
No.
for her to get that
I think the only
experience.
way she maybe comes back out of is if it's kind of like a 16-day thing like Australian Survivor was. Like
Well,
maybe if they
26
did.
days is pretty close, right?
It is, yeah, true. But I think if it was maybe like
Yeah.
in 10 years, if they did one last season of Survivor and it was like a Legends, like shorter season so that they can get people who have like retired and maybe Suri would come out for one last time to do something special like that. But I think barring anything like that, yeah, I think this is the last we see of her.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
It's
No, it
sad.
is. It's very sad, but I'm glad every time, you know, whenever like there's a long layover for someone where you kind of have given up that they would ever come back and then they do come back like this, it's almost like to me, it is sad, but it's like I didn't even expect that we would get this. So I'm so happy that we got this and it's more than I ever would have thought 5 years ago. So,
Absolutely. I didn't expect her to come back, especially, you know, she already kind of did some other shows, and I kind of heard that Jeff wasn't really happy with people doing the traders and stuff like that.
yeah, it's a reason
And so,
exception, yeah.
right, I guess so. And so I didn't think that she was necessarily coming back.
And I
But
think the fact that Suri did season one, I think also helps because she didn't know that it was going to be a big show. Like I think that nobody knew, so it's like it's less of a betrayal. In betrayal in Jeff's eyes, probably that Suri would go do like a what she would think was kind of like a small show versus like, oh, you moved over to the NBC family to do this big show that's like you think is going to give you a bigger audience than Survivor. Like I think that's how Jeff sees it now when people go do that. But like when
mm,
Suri did it, he probably knows that she didn't have that thought process, if
right,
that
right,
makes
right.
sense.
I mean, I'm happy that he didn't blackball her from coming back on the show, and
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, so yeah, I
Jeff's
could see her
smarter than
maybe doing like
that.
a short season. Maybe there's another Australia versus the world, like season 2 or something, and she comes back. But yeah, I don't
I
see
would
her
take
coming back
it.
in a regular.
The more Suri, the better, for as far as
Agreed.
I'm concerned. But yeah, so then we have to unfortunately watch this very hard segment where it becomes more and more obvious that Suri is probably going home this week. And she does come up, though, with one plan that I think is genius as per normal for Suri, where she decides to try throwing Aubrey under the bus. And she makes Jonathan think that Aubrey leaked the TIFF plan to her. Now, we know that that was really Rizzo that did that. But she is trying to make Jonathan and the others believe that it was Aubrey that did this and that they can't trust Aubrey and that they need to get Aubrey out. And it really does seem like Jonathan believes her. If nothing else, if this doesn't change the plan, Jonathan 100% believed that Aubrey did this.
100%. And I think it's just like Rizzo being like, no, we need to get Suri out, and kind of like digging his heels in for that. He, I think, kept the ball rolling in that direction, because I do think that Joe and Jonathan were swayed by what Suri said, for sure.
Yeah. And I wonder if it ever did change the plan, like, or if they ended up like, in that moment, if he did want it to be Aubrey and then was talked out of it, or if this was one of those things where like, okay, we're pissed at Aubrey for doing this, but it's not important enough to actually send her home tonight. Like, let's deal with that after we get Suri out.
Why is Aubrey not a big threat? Right? Like, if Aubrey's going around and talking to these people, like, why couldn't, like, they be like, oh, do you know what? Aubrey actually is a big threat as well, and she could potentially win a challenge over Suri winning a challenge. Like, why were they willing to work with Aubrey as opposed to work with Suri? Is it because of that hammock conversation that Aubrey and Jonathan had a few episodes ago, that like nobody would see us coming working together? Like, are they working together more strongly than it appears? Because I'm like, they're at least equally as strong as of a player in their eyes, anyways. And so I was surprised that they just didn't like be like, well, actually, I've been working with Suri for longer. Let me take out Aubrey.
I think it probably has a lot to do with just Suri's reputation of like, I think they're trying to think, if each person gets to the final three, what is their likelihood in any scenario of winning this game? And I think that they all know that if Suri, no matter who she's up against, is going to win just because she's Suri. Like, she doesn't even have to explain her resume of the season, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. Everyone wants to see Suri get a win finally. And so I think it's just, to them, it's like, okay, we've take in their minds, they're probably thinking that they've let Suri get this far, which we know is not true. But they're thinking like, okay, it's finally time where we can't, if we let her go another round, it's more and more possible that she's just going to make it to final three, and then we're all screwed. Whereas Aubrey, I think they probably think at least like, okay, she's played a good game, but like, we have a chance against Aubrey.
Very small chance, but like, who is people like Suri going to advocate for, right? Like, chances are she's going to go for Aubrey and give Aubrey.
Do you think like? I think you're right, but I do think that there's a chance maybe that if Rizzo was there, that Suri would vote for Rizzo.
Not after he voted her out. I mean, I know the good game, whatever, sportsmanship. I don't think that Rizzo taking out Ozzy and taking out Suri, I don't know if I think that Suri will respect Aubrey's game more than Rizzo's game.
Yeah. And Aubrey is a real life friend versus Rizzo, who she just met on this season. So yeah, you're probably right that she would vote for Aubrey.
And also with Ozzy's exit press, he was pretty bitter about Rizzo.
He was.
And I understand why, but like, Ozzy, you should have played your idol. But I think it also could be because like, you took me out and then you took out Suri like 2 votes later. Like, I think that he just doesn't like the disloyalty of like them supposed to be working together, and like he's the one that broke everything up.
Yeah,
for sure.
He was. But then we get to Tribal, and it's honestly like, I kind of thought we were going to get a little more like fanfare for Suri at this Tribal. It kind of felt pretty normal, and it just felt
except for all the violins. I was like, oh, the sad violins are coming, and it's all like, and it's swelling, and I was like, oh,
I guess I kind of just thought like before the vote, like before in just the conversation at Tribal, I guess I kind of thought we would see more of like a Devon's type thing where like Suri was talking about her experience and all the 20 years and blah, blah, blah. And we just didn't really get much of that. But maybe it's because like Cerie's smart. She knows if she does that, then everyone will assume that she thinks she's going home. And so maybe she's at least trying to put on a good facade that maybe she's so confident that maybe people will start to question, like, what does she know? What does she
It's true.
have? So,
That's true, and also, maybe the editors wanted to leave some mystery.
yeah.
Like, they didn't leave any mystery with Devon's, but maybe they wanted to leave some with this vote, just so it wouldn't be as predictable as it actually was. Like, we knew she was
Hmm.
going home, but, like, they're like, "Well, let's just see if we can make them have a little bit of suspense here by
Sure.
not making it clear as day that Suri is gonna be going home." So maybe
Yeah.
that's also a choice for the production.
Yeah. But unfortunately, we do see Suri go home in a 4-2 vote. And it's the first time she's ever been voted out of Survivor with a normal majority vote. So,
Yeah. Well, no, well, like, didn't she leave early one season?
so Heroes Villains, she did leave very early, but actually it was only because an idol was used. And so she did
Oh.
not receive the majority of the votes. I think she only got like 2 or 3 votes or something, but it was enough to send her home. But I think it was Tom Westman used an idol, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, this is the first time that it was just a normal, no idols play, nothing. Majority vote sends her home.
Is it the first time that she said, like, somebody says, the tribe has spoken? That's not Jeff?
So
I'm
she
just.
did that on Game Changers, actually. This was a callback to her doing the
Oh.
exact same thing on Game Changers after
Oh,
Advantage
okay, I
Getting.
remember actually. Yes.
So that was a fun moment. That was cool that they let her do that yet again. So that was fun, but it was really sad. It's so sad, but so close yet again. But I'm glad we got her for as long as we did. And
Absolutely.
look, she almost went home episode 1 if Jenna Lewis had her way.
Absolutely. I wonder how the game would have gone if, like, that. Oh,
It would have
that
been
was
crazy. It would have been a lot less
crazy.
fun.
A lot less fun for sure.
But then we get to the finale next week. So we're at our final 5. Okay, first, I have 2 questions for you. First, what do you think the vote will be for fire making? Yes, fire making or no fire making?
I think that Jeff likes fire making, and so there will be fire making.
He will make sure of it.
It'll be like 51%.
Oh, yeah. 50.01%. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I agree. I think it will be. I think as much as the super fans hate it, the casuals, I think, really like it. And like even one of my friends may or may not be listening to this. I don't know. He was just texting me earlier and he was like, I love fire making because you should know how to make a fire when you're on Survivor. And that's an important test. And I'm like, then make it an immunity challenge at Final Four. Don't make it send somebody home. Like I agree that it's maybe could be a tradition every season that there's some sort of challenge where you have to
Somewhere.
make fire, but it should reward the person who does it best, not punish the person who does it worse by sending them home.
I 100% agree. And I liked when fire making was settling a tie vote.
Yeah,
I do like like rather than it going to rocks. I do like that as a potential option, but I a million percent agree with you. And it could also be with how this Final Four fire making came about, because it
hmm,
really just screwed Chrissy over. You know what I mean? And maybe if that didn't happen that way, maybe I could like get around and maybe enjoy it. But because its first implementation was so egregious that I'm like, I hate this twist,
yeah,
that maybe I can't grow to like it, because like the first time that it was used pissed me off so much.
totally agree. So I think we both agree that Aubrey is our most likely winner.
Mhm.
Okay, who is our least likely? Who do we think is the least likely person to win Survivor 50?
Joe.
I agree. I think no matter who Joe is up in the final 3 with, there's no. Do you think he gets any votes? Is there any chance he gets any votes?
No, I don't think
I
so.
agree. I think the only chance is if maybe like some
Jonathan's
honor and
sitting out there.
integrity, like if it's Joe versus Aubrey and Rizzo, I think maybe someone from the honor and integrity group refuses to vote for somebody who lied and they think Joe is their only option to vote for like the truth teller. Like
Is he part of the Zoom alliance,
allegedly, I
Joe?
do think so, right? Because I
So
think
then
it's
he
like
might get a
basically the
vote.
honor and integrity group, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe he will get one vote.
Yeah. But I also think it's more likely that he wouldn't. Like it's possible that he does. I think that's like, but if he's up against like anyone, yeah, I don't think he gets any votes probably.
And I don't. Well, he might get more votes though than Rizzo actually, just because of
I
the honor
don't
and
think
integrity.
so.
No,
I
who do you think
don't.
would vote for Rizzo over Joe?
Yeah, I think probably because I think Rizzo was going to do a better job of explaining his game. And I think he has a game to explain. Like he did take out Ozzy, he did take out Suri, and he does have the resume. Whereas Joe just what does he have on his resume? What game does he have to explain? I just don't think he really has much.
I mean, he took Suri and Rizzo on a reward.
Yeah, that's enough.
His game move, big game move there.
Big game move of the season. All right. Well, I'm excited to watch next week. 3 hour live finale for the first time in 10 years or 5, 6 years, something like that.
I love a
10
live
seasons.
finale. I
Yeah.
really did miss those. One thing though that's different now that it's only 26 days, the transformation isn't going to be as like wow, va va
Except
va
for Rizzo,
boom. I guess
who
yeah,
just played
Rizzo's
like 50 days of Survivor,
that's
basically.
fair. Okay, Rizzo. Well, he played like a normal Australian Survivor season.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, Rizzo might look. Well, I've seen him in person, and he doesn't look that different. But maybe just like seeing him side by side, like from watching the season and then seeing him at the finale, I'll like
Mhm.
spiff it up. But that's one thing that I do also miss about the longer 39-day season is that people start looking like they've been on an island for 39 days and
Yeah.
then seeing their glow up. It was just always so exciting. Like, oh my God, they look so good. Like that was also part of my excitement. So I don't know if it'll be drastic enough for me to get that same feeling as I used to get, but I love that they brought it back. So I'll take it as I can get it.
Me too. Me too. I'm very excited for it. Well, Chantel, thank you so much for joining me
Of
today.
course.
Before we go, we have to. So all year, we are asking all of our guests to make a nomination for our Chatty Award ceremony, which we will be holding at the end of this year, just like last year. And we are going to add a category this time for a Guest's Choice Award. So every guest that we have on, we want you to give us a nomination of anyone that you have watched in the year 2026 on reality television who you think deserves to get this award of just your favorite. It can be whatever criteria you want, just somebody who you think has been like the best reality star of 2026 so far. And at the end, we will, if somebody has the most nominations, they will automatically win. Or if there's a tie, Molly and I will decide who gets it. So, who would you like to nominate?
So I've been talking to Chappelle on Recap Kickback about Miss Tiffany Pollard, Miss New York. We've been watching The Flavor of Love, season 1, season 2. Then we watched I Love New York. Now we're in the middle of Charm School. And then we're simultaneously watching House of Villains, which Miss Tiffany Pollard was also on.
Always.
So it could be the fact that I'm a little bit biased because like I've just been deeply involved in the lore of Tiffany. But I would have to say that somebody that has made a career out of being herself on reality TV, I think that I would like to put her name in the hat this year
I support
because
it.
I think that she's pretty legendary, and it's really fun to watch her evolve. And yeah, I think that deserves a nomination.
I support it 100%. She's the best. There's no reality star better than Tiffany New York Pollard. And I very much support this nomination. Well, Chantel, thank you so much for joining me today. Where anything to plug? Where can our listeners find you?
So definitely talk about Charm School on Sundays. We're calling it my Sunday school, my education. And so that's on Recap Kickback with Chappelle. And then on my YouTube channel, Reality Realness with 3 S's, I have been talking about Survivor. So I do have to talk about this week still at some point. So we'll be doing like a little bit of a bingo, probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll be going live. And it's almost Love Island time. So UK
Oh,
and USA are going to be starting up pretty soon.
oh
And
boy.
so I will be doing my best to cover both of those seasons daily. So
Wow.
we'll see if I can do it, but that's the goal.
That's a big task. Well, good luck with that. I wish you all the luck in the world. That's a lot. But thank you guys so much for listening or watching on YouTube. Be sure to follow us at Let's Chat Reality on all social media and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we will chat with y'all Survivor finale next week. Excited for it. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.